There is one thing that I do feel the need to show you guys. This is from the podcast that Anouska de Georgiou did. Anouska de Georgiou was an Epstein victim. I talked about her a little bit in my last...
Understand the evolution better.
Sorry, in one of my streams where I talked about the victims of Epstein, not the victims, the clients of Epstein client list. And this was an interview she did on her podcast, which, by the way, guys, please check out her podcast. She's got like no subscribers. It's kind of, it's sad because she's a charming interviewer. Charming interviewer. And if I go to the right spot, then I can show you. I thought this was really, really interesting. They talk about, did Epstein kill himself? Let me just start at 21.
Out of a bowl.
So by the way, this is, I guess I didn't explain, sorry. I'm excited to show you guys this. So this is Anouska de Georgiou's podcast, and she's interviewing Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson, who are the two lawyers who run Edwards and Henderson, which is the law firm that represents the victims of Epstein. They're also married in real life. They are talking about, I don't know, they're just kind of shooting the shit with Anouska. She was one of the victims that they represented. This part, they talk about the question that's on everybody's mind. Did Epstein kill himself? So I thought the answer they had was very interesting.
But I want to hear about, I mean, first of all, I haven't seen the evidence that they have because they haven't released it yet. I also know that there's, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, really, at all. What I go by is I know personality types because that's what I do. You guys know the law and you know criminals and you know what you know. And it's just so hard for me to believe that somebody who was a clinical narcissistic.
Yeah, to the Finland station. Yeah, Edward's book is good. Relentless Pursuit. He's a bit of a bro, he's a bit of like a, I don't know, like a jock, I guess. And there are parts of it where it's like getting really into like Epstein stuff. And then it'll be like a chapter where he's like, and I used to play football, and then I had to pick up my sons from tennis practice, and I really thought about this or whatever. I'm like, I don't care about this. Get back to the Epstein stuff. But it is a good book, and he was one of the few people who's like directly involved in everything. Like one of the better books you can read to get into Epstein stuff. Yeah, and it's also like his relationship with Epstein is a little weird. Like they sat down, like even while he was like suing him and like trying to bring him to justice, Epstein ended up like suing him back and getting all these whatever cases against Brad Edwards. And the whole time this was going on, he would sit down. They would sit down and meet at like a coffee shop or something, or some like restaurant. They would constantly meet up there. And there's a thing where it really seems like, I don't know, it really seems like he sort of respected Epstein in like a real way. He sort of likes Epstein. It almost gets to that point. And like the name of the book, Relentless Pursuit, it turns out that like you find out at the end of the book, Epstein drops his like frivolous lawsuit against Brad Edwards and writes a thing that's like, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was lying. I lied and I sued you and I wasted your money. And really it was just because you're such a good lawyer and you were coming at me, and it was your relentless pursuit of justice that I found intimidating, and blah, 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 blah. And I remember getting that part. It's like, you named your book after something Epstein said about you? Like, dude, I don't know. It just feels kind of gross. But I don't know. Like, I guess like, I've never been in that situation. I've never met Jeffrey Epstein. I've heard a lot about the guy and how a lot of people found him very charming. And he was definitely like a fantastic, like he was a con artist. Like my view of Epstein, he was a con artist where he was able to really just like look into someone's soul and find out exactly what to say to them in order to most efficiently manipulate them. And in the case of Brad Edwards, he sort of realized, he was like, oh, this guy really loves the idea of fairness, that everything can be fair. So he always pitched things towards Brad in a way. He was like, I just want things to be fair. I don't like when people cheat. I don't like when people do this. And it really worked. Like he kind of got into Brad Edwards' head a little bit. Anyways, but hey, like if I met Epstein, the same thing might have happened to me. And I think Brad Edwards is very conscious of this. In the book, he sort of goes into it a lot, and he's like, I had to be careful. Was he manipulating me? Was he using his thing? But anyways, sorry, that's all neither here nor there. I like Brad Edwards. I think he's a good guy, and I don't even mind that he showed up to this video podcast completely underdressed, skinny jeans and a cold sore on his face. And he doesn't remind me at all of people who were mean to me in high school. And what do you mean? I'm not being overly harsh with him. It's fine. Sorry. All right, we'll continue.
Clinical narcissistic sociopath would make that choice.
So she's saying, sorry, just to explain here. So Anouska is saying, hey, I haven't seen all the evidence and stuff, but I do not think he killed himself. I spent a lot of time with him, and she's also like a licensed therapist. Since she's left whatever this celebrity world, she's gotten into like rehabilitation therapy, I think. And so she's looking at it from like a sort of psychology perspective, and she's like, this guy is like a textbook narcissist. Would he kill himself? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's what she's arguing.
Yeah, but I think that he did it because of that. So, I mean, think of it like this. I'll just put some pieces together for you. He's a person who's always in total control of everybody around him, meaning he controls all of his inner circle of girls. They can't leave him. He controls his attorneys, his accountants, like literally everybody around him. And now all of a sudden he's in a cage and he's being controlled. He's now eating bologna out of a bowl. We do have a client, which I guess you'll share the story, but she was on the island with him not long before he was arrested.
Okay.
And
this is also a funny like Brad Edwards moment where he's like, this is crazy, by the way, what he's about to say. This is the reason I wanted to play this clip, actually. But he's sitting there next to his wife and he's like, and here's something crazy. We had a client, and you'll tell the story. You like, this is your story to tell, you know? When you do that, when you have like a partner and you're at a party or something and you're like, babe, tell them about this or whatever. Like he starts to do that, but then he just tells the story anyway. He does not let her speak. Very funny. Let's go back. Let's hear it again.
she was on the island with him not long. Share the story out of a bowl. We do have a client, which I guess you'll share the story, but she was on the island with him not long before he was arrested.
Okay.
And he told her that, look, if you were ever in a bad situation, you have to kill yourself. Here's how you do it. And he essentially described for her basically exactly how he ended up killing himself. So, I mean, I think the combination of like being under total control and thinking he's never getting out. I mean, like, let's face it, he was never, ever going to get out of jail. And he knew he was going to be killed. Like, everybody in the whole jail wanted to kill him. I mean, for what he was in jail for, there wasn't a prisoner in there that didn't want to kill him.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. I'll let it play a little bit more because I think it's more, there's more interesting stuff there. But like, that really struck me. I had never heard this before. And this podcast just came out like a month ago, that apparently Epstein had once described to one of his victims, hey, if you ever got to kill yourself, here's the way you do it. This is like the most painless, easiest way to do it. If you're in a situation where you can't get it, like, of course, this would be something that, like, if you're Jeffrey Epstein, right? If you're Jeffrey Epstein and you are, you know, sexually assaulting like hundreds, thousands of young girls, you sort of think to yourself, ooh, there's a good chance I'm going to be sent to prison and whatever, like given the electric chair or something, or like have to go through a humiliating trial, yada, yada, yada. There's a good chance that'll happen. You would want to have a plan for how to end your life if you're in that situation. And yeah, I'd never heard that. And that is so interesting. And it makes sense, you know, like a partial suspension hanging. And I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. So maybe I won't go into this too much, but like that would be the way that Epstein chose to die is like easy, doesn't require a lot of resources, and it is relatively quick and painless compared to, you know, other ways that it could be done. So it's quite interesting. And I think that that is kind of, for me, like almost like the nail in the coffin for ideas that it wasn't done by him. It's, yeah, okay, to the filling station. Fair enough. Seems like it would be hard. I don't think so. And from what I've read about this particular method, it seems pretty easy. I mean, people do it by mistake all the time. This is the way people die through autoerotic asphyxiation. So I don't think it'd be that hard, but I also don't really feel like I should get super into it right here. I don't feel like that would be great for my channel. I would like to eventually have some monetization happen here, and I don't want to be giving people instructions on how to do horrible things to themselves. That's how David Carradine died. Yeah, that's how they killed Bill in the end. Yes, don't try this at home, folks. Don't try this at home. But anyway, I can't believe that I had never heard that before. Like that is such a crazy thing. Yes, this is more of this energy, guys. Yes, your life is worth it. You are important. You're loved. You're a beautiful human being, and it's okay to ask for help or stuff like that. Unless you're Jeffrey Epstein, in which case, I don't know. I still don't do it because you have information that we want. Any dang old ways. I feel like we've gotten through a lot of stuff here, and I think like for me, I'm still at the point where I'm pretty much where I was at the end of the last stream. I don't think that Epstein was murdered. I don't think somebody crawled through the piping, Die Hard style, through the air ducts of the prison and waited for exactly midnight when the cameras shut off and then, took a little grappling hook down or whatever and ran into Epstein's cell and strangled him and made him look like an accident. Like, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that happened. Maybe it did. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I mean, from what we've seen of the footage, they didn't even have to crawl through the ducts. They could have just walked in through that other entrance and walked up the stairs and just stayed on the right-hand side of the staircase and then done it. Like, it's possible. But to me, it seems highly unlikely. It seems much more likely, like what Brad Edwards just said. Brad Edwards, Epstein was a, narcissist, whatever, psycho. Like he was very obsessed with himself. And he always wanted to have control over situations. And the fact we also know, keep in mind from my last stream, we know this guy updated his will the day before he died. He updated his will in order to fuck over the victims and make sure that they would never get his money. And if they did, it would be very difficult. And if they wanted it, they'd have to sign something to agree that they wouldn't keep coming after Epstein's estate. Like he fucked them. And then he killed himself, and he did it in a way where he really should have been monitored. So it makes sense to me that this was something that he wanted to do.
I think there were other people outside of prison that also wanted to kill him. But I think for somebody as narcissistic as that, knowing he's going to be killed, that taking his own life and depriving them of getting to control him, I think that was his big thing.
It's also interesting, though, because you are not alone in thinking that he did not commit suicide.
I'd say it's half and half.
Of
half
our survivors,
clients.
half of our clients, there's nothing we could ever say to convince them that he killed himself.
Well, that's interesting, too. Half of the Epstein survivors, well, at least that are represented by Edwards and Henderson, don't believe that he killed himself. That's interesting.
So I think that's kind of an interesting psychological component to it.
I'm willing to be convinced because I think being able to change your mind on something is essential to critical thinking. But I just don't see it in the man. And I had so many interactions. And one of the traits of somebody that is that personality type is really to never really concede to complete defeat and always present themselves as like, I didn't do it. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm wrong. They're making me wrong. And, screw them. I'm going to, just see I'll rise from this.
Yeah, I think 2 days before he commits suicide, though, he changed his will and he does all of these kind of gamesmanship with what his estate is about to become. I think he saw that as a win. I mean, what he's still doing with how he's hid money so that when victims were paid, I mean, I think all of that was calculated on his part.
He's still trying to outsmart all of us from beyond the grave.
Yeah, like from beyond the grave. He's still working his game.
Yeah, which is also speaks to the fact that people like that are never sorry. They're never remorseful. They're never trying to make amends. They're always trying.
Yeah, I think that's about all that I wanted to show. But yeah, he goes over what I was just saying, like about the changing the will and everything. Like at that point, like I don't know. I haven't seen anything that would make me think that, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that would make me reevaluate my position. It also seems very likely to me that there were too many things, yes, exactly as Pompano is happening. I think he did it by himself, but I think him having help equally makes sense with all that weird shit that happened. Yeah, that's what I think, basically. And I think it's dangerous to set up that binary. Epstein didn't kill himself because it turns it into, well, if it turns out that he did kill himself, then there's no conspiracy. And if he didn't kill himself, then we know that, there was a conspiracy. But I think that it isn't just those two options. I think there's like a third option, maybe more. And I notice like MAGA types being like, he was murdered by Hillary Clinton's specially hired guy or whatever, like all that bullshit. And then I see fucking libs on the other side being like, even though it's very clear that he killed himself. Conspiracy theories still abound online. Like I've read that, like almost that sentence verbatim so many times where people are like, there's no conspiracy, guys. Don't even worry about it. There's no conspiracy about Epstein. And it's like, yo, like, come on now. Let's be real. Like those aren't just the two options. And like both sides are using it to their advantage. And it, like even making it like this, like I think that the Trump team was really hoping that this would be a way to combat it. Like they were like, oh, people think Epstein didn't kill himself, but let's show them all the proof that like, it looks like nobody went in his cell, but then they just did it in a completely incompetent way. They overpromised, they underdelivered, and they lied. They like intentionally lied many times about shit that they were putting out. So stupid. So stupid. Like I either like the thing is either everyone in the Trump administration is doing this on purpose to make Trump look bad, or they're all fucking morons. And I think it's the latter. A truly like surprising amount of them are very stupid people.